Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Ashley McDowell. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. 2 males have a bail hearing for possessing crystal meth. Also tonight, we get an expert opinion on how the 2019 typhoon season will play out. And some tadpoles are beautifying the island. Find out where. In sports, Eureka! The Northern Marianas discovers gold in Samoa. Stay with us, these stories and more are next.
The phone you want now on the best network and a plan that gives you endless data on chat, social, and music apps. Tell your Docomo Pacific rep you want now with access. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
Hafa Day, Tirwami, and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Monday, July 15th, 2019. In court, 2 males get bail set for possession of a controlled substance, crystal methamphetamine, also known as ice. In the courtroom of Associate Judge Kenneth Govindo, 38-year-old Derek Jonathan Regis and 40-year-old Robert Camacho Torres both received bail set at $2,000 each. On July 12th, around 3:15 a.m., a Department of Public Safety officer pulled over a black-colored SUV heading along Beach Road without any headlights. The driver was Regis, and in the passenger seat was Torres. Upon noticing there was a gun in the back seat of the vehicle, the officer asked both males to put their hands on the steering wheel and dashboard. When the officer opened the passenger door, a yellow lighter, 1 used glass pipe, 1 straw with a yellow and red stripe, and 3 Ziploc baggies, 2 containing crystal-like substances, were found. The police officer conducted a test kit on the baggies of the crystal white substance found in the vehicle and on Regis, which both tested positive for meth. Both Regis and Torres were booked at the Department of Corrections. Regis has a preliminary hearing set for July 22nd at 1:30 p.m. and an arraignment set for July 29th at 9 a.m. Torres has a preliminary hearing set for July 24th at 9 a.m. and an arraignment on July 29th at 9 a.m. The weather is changing from dry season to rainy season, and with that, typhoons become a greater concern. We get a 2019 prediction from the National Weather Service. KSPN's Bob Coldine reports.
After 3 major hits from tropical cyclones over the last 4 years and rebuilding still ongoing, the Northern Mariana Islands residents cast a wary eye on the upcoming typhoon season. Chief Meteorologist for the National Weather Service, Chip Gard, has a forecast.
It's a little bit better news now. We thought we were going to have a situation where we would have storms developing out by the dateline, later on this year, and because there's a lot of warm water there. But that warm water is disappearing. We're still going to see a concentration of storms out here in probably late September, October, November for Saipan and Tinian, and on into early December for Rhoda.
While there will be tropical cyclones forming in this area, he does not expect a repeat from last year.
I think we're still going to see a busy season toward the end of the year, but not quite as busy as 2018.
Saipan suffered direct hits from Saudelor and U2 in a 4-year time span. While that probably won't happen again in our lifetimes, it is a possibility. Take Guam as an example.
It's not a common thing to happen, but like I was telling you earlier, in 1992 we had 5 typhoons hit us. 3 of them were eye passages right over Guam in a 3-month period, so it's not unheard of, you know. But I think the chances of getting another Saudelor or another U2 are pretty slim.
Based on historical data, GARD says a Category 1 or 2 typhoon would be more likely than another 5. The bottom line, though, one must be prepared for the worst either way.
Even a direct hit is a pretty rare event if you look at the historical data. So, but we have to be prepared, and we're in that part of the world where we can have a typhoon any month of the year.
GARD thinks this is the week when we see the change of seasons.
We could be seeing a shift in from this dry regime into a wet regime. Looks like the monsoon may be coming in. We could see a couple of storms develop out to the north or west of us and then intensify after they move away. But it's been a delayed season.
On the average, there are about 28 numbered tropical cyclones in the Northwest Pacific each year, and a handful of those reach Category 5 status.
A bill that will provide $360 million in the Marianas Medicaid program has received its first approval. According to a release, Congressman Gregorio Khalili-Sablan signed off on new legislation to fund the Marianas Medicaid program over the next 6 years with $360 million. The new legislation would do away with local match of federal dollars for the first 2 years, and after that would be at 17% match for 3 years and then a 24% match for the final year. The extra money from the Affordable Care Act in 2010 will no longer be available after 2019. The Energy and Commerce Health Subcommittee has approved the bill. Also addressed in the bill are fraud concerns. The release states that all 5 insular areas will be required to report to Congress every year on how the new money is being used for health care, covered benefits, and provider networks. American Samoa, Guam, and the Marianas will also be required to report the Transform Medicaid Statistical Information System of the Department of Health and Human Services. The full Energy and Commerce Committee is expected to act on the bill this week. Some special training classes will be taking place tomorrow to help you understand how to do business with the federal government. From 10 a.m. to noon on the first floor of the Commonwealth Development Authority boardroom in San Jose, Boris Hertzlet, program manager from the Guam Procurement Technical Assistance Center, will be giving a presentation on federal contracts to businesses to meet the needs of federal agencies and the military, focusing on the DUNS number and SAM registration. And from 1:30 to 3:30 at the same location, Hertzlet will be talking about the federal contracts that have already been given out. He states that over $150 million in federal contracts have been awarded over the last 12 months in the CNMI, and Hertzlet will be explaining the common types of solicitation, like requests for quotes, RFQ, and requests for proposals, RFP, while providing tips on giving a response to the solicitations. For more information, contact the CNMI SBDC at 664-3018. And you may notice some utility poles around Saipan started to pop with color and design. That's due to the Project Aligi. Project Aligi has kicked off, starting with the utility pole located on Beach Road across from Modern Stationery.
It's based on the Chamorro version of the Sirena, right? Which is a little girl that gets turned into a mermaid, right? Or a young lady. As opposed to the westernized version of the mermaid, which is seductive, right? So, yeah, so it's a simple idea. This whole area is going to be like ocean themed, like fish, things like that.
Super Typhoon U2 claimed many businesses, homes, vehicles, and possessions. And Project Eligi, or hashtag Tatted Poles, is an opportunity for local artists to express that we are still very Mariana strong by representing artwork that expresses the Marianas on the utility poles around the island.
There's going to be a section that's going to be like Chamorro or Saipan culture, Chamorro culture, Carolinian culture.
Veronica comes all the way from Chicago, where she attended the Art Institute, and is here in Saipan, where she mostly does personal paintings and a few other beautification projects.
We do a lot of I do like a school beautification project, the school I work at, which is Saipan Southern High School. And I have a small club, and I teach a class, and we do like murals or small murals. And actually, we were painting posts at our school. We kind of paint posts in front of the teachers' rooms based on what they want. It takes time because I'm working with students and they're learning how to paint. But it's one of my passions, painting and outside beautification projects.
And some of her favorite things to paint are?
I like paint a lot of different things, but I do like painting people and fantasy. Kids. I love to paint kids. I paint my own children. Do like paintings of kid paintings of them.
Those interested in participating in the Eligi project can apply at the Marianas Visitors Authority, or for more information, contact Naomi Santos at 664-3200. Reporting for KSPN, I'm Ashley McDowell. Coming up, was the development of the Laddie Stones related to Nan Madol, Easter Island, and Yap Stone money? That possibility is raised in new research. That story and more next.
Get the phone plan you're looking for at IT&E. Stay connected with the strongest, widest, and most reliable network in the Marianas. Stream, share, play, shop, and surf the web with super fast 4G LTE data. Whether you need just a few gigabytes of data to get by, or if you want to go further with unlimited data, there's a plan for you. You'll always get the best price. Visit any IT&E store or call us to learn more. IT&E. Explore your world.
Bubblegum Shrimp Company opens daily at 11 a.m. Located on Beach Road in the heart of Garapan.
Green sea turtles and hawksbill turtles call the Mariana Islands home. They're an important part of the marine ecosystem. They are under threat, and they are protected under CNMI law. Keep plastic out of the ocean. Keep vehicles off the beach. Use the Sea Turtle Stranding Hotline if you see poaching activities or if you see a turtle in trouble. Call 287-8537 and save a turtle.
Welcome back to the Channel 2 News. Laddie Stones in the Marianas have been researched for so long, one would think there is nothing to be learned. But there is. KSPN's Bob Coldine reports.
Laddie stones were constructed in the Marianas around the same time as other stone works were being introduced in other parts of the Pacific. Lucas Simmons from Historic Preservation Office says there's new research into this angle.
You look at Nan Madol and Ponape, you look at some of the big platforms on Hawaii, you look at the stone money, even in places like Yap, the stone foundations for the Bai there. So yeah, it's just this thing that's kind of happening all around the same time.
Simmons attributes this development to a basic human need.
So as far as some of the newest stuff that's going on, there has been one guy based out of the University of Guam who's been looking at, in the wider context of the Pacific, what is going on at the time that Laddie stones were being built. And one thing he has found is that stone, people using stone to build things, is showing up around the same time. And the thought is maybe that on all these islands, their populations at the time was getting big enough that people really need to solidify, this is my land. So rather than building something out of wood on it, you build it out of stone, and that's going to last thousands of years. And you always know that's your family's land where those stones were put up.
Interestingly, for all the studies that have been completed, no one knows exactly how many laddie stones there are in the Marianas.
No one has ever actually done a count, but it's a lot. I can tell you in Cagman alone, we know of 14 different sets of them. And that's just one village on Saipan where we know they are, and there's a lot more here, let alone all the other islands.
HBO's goal, educate the people through first-hand exposure.
One of the biggest things we've been trying to do, and this is something that goes way back in HPO before my time, we've been trying to build it up again, is taking the kids out there to see them, right? Because that's, to me, that's why archaeology is an important thing, because you're not just thinking and hearing about history, you are touching history. And so getting the kids out to this place where they can feel everything about it and what went on there and touch the stones, I think that makes a difference.
On Guam, the Salvation Army is working to help the homeless get off the streets. KUAM reports.
Hafiday Sinamay, here's what's making news on Guam. The Salvation Army does more than bell ringing during the holiday. In this report, Julie Santos looks into their work with helping the homeless.
When you talk about people who are homeless, I mean, they all represent stories and families and struggles, and it's not always a clear cut and dry.
Major Tom Stamball has been leading the Salvation Army's efforts for the last 3 years. A big part of their work is with the Guam Homeless Coalition. We asked the Major what are some of the most common causes of homelessness based on his experience.
If it's conditional homeless, it's because either they lost income, they lost their job, like I said, death in the family, or a senior citizen who just can't afford the basics of life anymore.
There are 2 categories of homeless, conditional homeless and chronic homeless. Stamball told us that those in the conditional type are easier to work with as they mainly require resources that are readily available.
But chronic homeless need a little more convincing that they're not, they're losing their independence. Sometimes they're chronic homeless, sometimes they choose to be homeless. They don't want to, they rather live off the grid, so to speak. And trying to point them to the resources might be a little more hard to convince them that they'll be safe.
He says a big part of the challenge is that chronic homeless have the highest number of individuals with mental illness, so getting them to trust those trying to help them is tricky. And what about those who choose to live off the grid?
If it's a veteran, sometimes they would prefer to not interfere with the government. They did their part, and they just want to be left alone, kind of thing. It could be with someone with mental health issues. It's really trying to convince them to find stability, whether that's through medication, through a counselor, or whatever it is, to point them to resources that are going to help them be safe.
Another situation is with families. The Major says they do their best to provide as much as they can while helping them become more independent.
Families' dynamics for homelessness, a lot of times it's what we find is that either a lack of skills to find job placement, or if they have a criminal background, sometimes it's hard to find jobs that they can plug into.
This is why Stamball has created a new position called Homeless Navigator. The job is similar to a caseworker in that the navigator will speak directly to the homeless to find out the specific needs of the individual or family.
Hearing their stories, because every homeless person is a story. They have their own issues, their own things that they're worried about and want to overcome, and pointing them to the right direction, whether that's education, whether that's another agency on island that can better help them or the children. I think that's the best way to really approach homelessness in Guam.
He believes the Homeless Navigator combined with counseling will help to discover the deeper causes of homelessness. Despite all the despair and downtrodden he's seen, Stamball has a positive and productive message for the island.
Trying to find areas that we can bring people into an environment that they feel safe in, that they feel accepted, that they're not a burden, that they want to make a change. And I think having those messages for the homeless is, we don't look at you as someone that's down and out, but it's someone that has potential.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Julia Santos.
Stay connected via our KUM mobile news app, follow us on social media, and sign up for our weekly email newsletter, KUM Digital Digest, on KUM.com. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglotnia.
Thank you, Thomas. All right, coming up, one NMI, I hope I spelled that right, Tennis player coulda, woulda, shoulda had a gold medal. Talk about bad luck. You're lucky. KSPN2 Sports is next.
The phone you want now on the best network and a plan that gives you endless data on chat, social, and music apps. Tell your Docomo Pacific rep you want now with access. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
All workers have the right to a safe workplace. Employers must provide a workplace that is free from recognized hazards and comply with applicable OSHA standards, including proper reporting of injuries. Training needs to be done in a language and vocabulary employees can understand. And an OSHA information poster must be displayed prominently in the workplace. Workers, you have the right to raise a safety or health concern with your employer or OSHA without being retaliated against, and request an OSHA consultation of your workplace if you believe there are unsafe or unhealthy conditions. OSHA can help. Free assistance to identify and correct hazards is available to small and medium-sized employers without citation or penalty. So look out, speak up, and stay safe. Job safety and health, it's not only good practice, it's the law. Check out OSHA.gov or call 664-3154 or 3155.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 2 Health Talk. I'm Dr. Tony Stearns of Marianas Medical Center. A recent study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology examined the relationship between what women ate while they were pregnant and the cognitive test scores of their children 3 years after birth. The study results revealed that women who ate fish while pregnant gave birth to babies who by age 3 had significantly better cognitive and fine motor skills than those whose mothers didn't eat fish during pregnancy. The 3-year-olds from the women who reported eating more than 2 servings of fish per week performed better than average on tests that assessed receptive vocabulary, visual, spatial, visual motor, and fine motor skills. These results are significant because the most important time of development for our brains is actually before we are born. Almost all of our neurons have already been created by the time of our mother's second trimester, when the critical process of establishing the correct interconnections in the neurons in the brain is taking place. Why is eating fish helpful? Because fish is a rich source of health-promoting omega-3 fatty acids, special fats that are known to be important components of the brain structure. Expectant mothers should be careful not to eat too much fish and to avoid fish with high mercury content. Large, long-lived fish such as tuna and swordfish, which feed on other fish and thus keep accumulating mercury, are the most likely to have elevated levels of the poison. Types of seafood that generally have low mercury levels include shrimp, sardines, and salmon. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Tony Stearns of Marianas Medical Center. Please join me again next week and have a healthy week.
Buenas sports fans. Buenas sports fans, the NMI men's tennis team won a gold medal Friday night in Samoa. Quite an accomplishment considering how rare a gold is for the Northern Marianas at the Pacific Games. The 2019 Pacific Games update. For the record, in 10 previous Pacific Games, starting in 1979, that's spanning 40 years, the Northern Mariana Islands won gold medals in only 2 sports, swimming and baseball. Swimmers Jonathan Sokovich captured 2 in the 80s, and Zenevieve Pangilinan 2 in the 90s. In 2011, the baseball team, led by the Herculean invincible pitching of Joshua Jones, grabbed the gold. And that's the list. So Friday night's breakthrough by tennis in Apia was rather remarkable. The team competition is best of 3. First couple of singles matches, and then, if necessary, a doubles match. Playing as the NMI's number 2, Robbie Shore defeated his opponent from Papua New Guinea 6-love, 7-6. Colin Sinclair followed with a chance to clinch the gold as the evening grew late and it was approaching midnight. His opponent, Matthew Stubbings, won the first 2 games. But after that, it was all Sinclair. He reeled off 12 consecutive winning games to win the match 6-2, 6-love for the historic victory. Members of the men's team include Coach Jeff Race and players Colin Sinclair, Robbie Shore, and Ken Song. The next medal play for these guys is the singles, which got underway today. Colin won 6-love, 6-love, but Robbie lost 2-1 to his opponent from Tonga. Ken Song won his match against a very sick American Samoa opponent. In women's team competition, not a good day for the NMI. Carol Lee beat Tonga as our number 1, but Malika Miyawaki lost, as did Tanya Tan. Tanya and Malika fell in the doubles play. A 16th Pacific Games report from Samoa. Well, the NMI men's tennis team was supposed to have 4 members, but one of them did not make it. Bad luck kept Bobby Cruz from his first gold medal.
10 hours before the team was supposed to leave for Samoa, I got robbed. So it just so happens that the bag that was taken out of my car had my passport in it. So unfortunately, you can't travel internationally without a passport. So really tough.
Not only did they take away your passport, they took away your gold medal.
Well, the gold medal belongs to the CNMI, and so it's really disappointing that I wasn't able to be there to participate, to support the team. But the point is that the team did really well, and they brought home a gold medal, so I'm super proud.
Here's the windup and the pitch.
I don't believe what I just saw!
Let's roll at Gold's Gym Saipan with group exercise for every body. Total Resistant Exercise, or TRX, helps develop your core and improve strength. And Zumba toning is probably the funnest way to get fit. The Shake Cafe is a great place to stop by for a meal replacement or supplements. Today is the first day of the rest of your life.
Today's high, only 88. The heat index 98. The low 77. Humidity 62%. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Yeah, rainy season type weather. Scattered showers, winds light and variable. When it does rain, the rain showers don't go anywhere. High 87, low 79. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Sunrise 5:54. Ooh, getting later. High tide 6:08 in the morning. Low tide at 1:43, and then sunset at 6:51. Now, sunsets aren't going to be as great as they've been, because there's going to be too many clouds.
I noticed that. Yesterday it looked like it was going to be such a good sunset, and then that cloud stuck in the way.
We've seen the best. That's it.
I know. It looked like we were going to help.
We'll get some good ones, but...
So they were saying typhoon season?
I don't think you were a sunset fan until you came here.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, you're totally right.
Okay.
The best I've ever seen in the world were here. You know what? The best sunrise, too, I watched from Minagaha. Beautiful.
Oh, I've
beautiful
never seen
sunrise.
I don't think I've ever seen a sunrise here.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Now that I think about it, I've never seen the sunrise.
Come up, it's beautiful. Well, it's where we live on the side of the island, though. We just get
come over the mountain, about 8 o'clock.
Setting down, yeah. Gotta get out there and watch that, Bob.
All right. Anyway, you had a question about rainy season?
Yeah. So typhoon's right around the corner.
Right around the corner, but Chip's saying that it's going to be more in the later part of the year rather than the early. It depends on the water temperature on
Yeah.
the El Nino to the east of us.
Okay.
And so when the warm water is close to the Marshall Islands, then we get our storms early. And then when it's warmer, closer to South America, then we get our typhoons later in the year.
Okay, so we're looking at a little bit later season.
If we get one.
If we get, fingers crossed we don't get any. Can we have a break, please?
Well, there's going to be some in the area. Now, whether it goes straight over Saipan and Tinian and Rota again, probably not, but it's probability, so there's always a chance.
Chances are lower this year, let's hope.
Chances are low.
All right, well, thank you,
But the
Bob.
chances are there anyway.
They're always there, yeah, of course. And thank you for watching. Please do have a great rest of your night, and tune in tomorrow night at 6.
Good night.